have had the most wonderful experience. They've absolutely loved it. They love the big red bus. They love jumping on board. But they also have met some of the most incredible people. They met the first blind person that they've ever met, Neil. And he is the candidate for Ringwood. And nothing has ever come easy to him in his life. He's had to fight hard for everything that he's ever achieved. And we went down to say thanks to the volunteers down in Ringwood, to say thanks for all your hard work. And he took out his cane and he gave it to the children and he said, close your eyes. Come with me, we'll go outside, see what it's like for a blind person. Go for a walk. Then he showed him all the apps and equipment on his phone that he uses to get by in the world. I couldn't think of a better person to represent the people of Ringwood, and I really hope that he wins in that seat.
So did anything surprise you?
No. I found the doorstop interviews very interesting, but no, I don't think so. I think I've followed Daniel's political career very closely, obviously, and I follow the media very closely as well. I read a lot.
Hey, you don't keep a book of who's good and bad, do you? Hazel Hawke used to do that.
No, but I keep clippings.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I do keep a bit of a scrapbook.
Yeah. How big is it?
I can't keep up with it.
Does it go right back to the early days?
There are some things from the early days, and certainly the children find it amusing. The other night, Grace put together a PowerPoint presentation of her dad, showing him what he looked like 4 years ago and what jobs he'd done and what portfolios he'd had. And then until today, and it was very sweet actually, just saying how proud she was of him and, very clever.
Were you surprised to find that the most searched Google search about Daniel Andrews is in fact you?
Yeah, it's very funny. It's very funny.
Well, it says something about your likely impact on the campaign though.
Well, I've really enjoyed it. I've really loved spending, most days with Daniel. He's my best friend. We're very close. We've been together for 20 years. So who better to support you at that time in your life when it's a really intense time. Who better to support you than the person who knows you the best, the person who can make you laugh and the person who can make you relax.
How old were you when you first met?
I was, I think 19.
And when did he tell you he wanted to go into politics?
I don't think he ever told me. I think we just both
knew.
We knew. Yeah.
Were you ever tempted?
No. I think definitely that one politician in the House is more than enough. And I also think that I have been more than exposed to the rough and tumble of everyday politics. So yeah,
Is that hard? Do you get a bit annoyed at times? Because he gets beaten up. I beat him up. He gets asked quite tough questions and he gets criticised.
Well, the media's got a job to do and we can't control the media.
Oh, that's a political answer. It must still annoy you at times.
Well, no, not really. Really what I'm focused on is that, he's okay and that he's, working hard every day for the things that matter to him and the things that matter to the Labor Party and the things that matter to hardworking Victorians. What I care about is that the TAFEs have been, the funds have been taken away from TAFEs. And I've got friends who teach in the TAFE sector and my brother went through the TAFE system and they're really important. I care that when you call for an ambulance that it comes on time. Like, I care about that. I don't really care about...
It wasn't too flash when he was health minister though. The ambulances weren't running on time then, to be fair.
Well, let's see, what his plan is right now is to improve the health system overall.
Do they brief you? Do the minders say, here's a list of talking points and this is what we want you to say?
I've had some great media advice actually, Neil, and that's
What do they say?
my 82-year-old neighbour who said the very best thing you can do, Catherine, is to just be yourself.
Well, it's true, but too many of them aren't they? I mean, too many politicians just play games, don't you think?
Well, the media is very intense and, the slightest thing that you say can come under such intense scrutiny and be taken out of context, and in a matter of moments with today's media, it can be thrown right back to you. So perhaps
you can make a deal of yourself, genuinely.
People are probably just becoming a bit more cautious these days.
Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, now you haven't got a Liberal voter in your family, have you?
No, I haven't.
You sure? Because, a Labor voter popped up for Ted Balium at the end of the campaign. His mother-in-law was a Labor voter, as I remember.
I'm sure that at some point in time, one of my family members may have been a Liberal voter, but certainly not this time around.
How would you see your role if Daniel Andrews becomes Premier, if you're First Lady of Victoria? Would you be very active?
So, Neil, term 4 at school is such an intense time. We have Noah's getting ready to go to secondary school. Grace has her final 2 ballet concerts this week. And I'm spending time thinking about getting Christmas organised as well. To be honest, I haven't really given it that much thought, but to the extent that I have thought about it, what I can say to you is that I will support Daniel in any way that I can to enhance his role. Wherever I can help him, I would love to.
So you don't see yourself as being a particularly active, I was going to say a lobbyist or person yourself.
Well, Neil, you and I actually have quite a bit in common. We both are quite concerned about skin cancer prevention, and you've done some amazing work in this space with sunbeds, and I have been the SunSmart ambassador for the past couple of years, and I'm very committed to sending that message out about how important skin cancer prevention is in Victoria. You know, we live in the capital of skin cancer in the world here, and we need to do more around that. And I would love to, and I would, use my role in that way if I could.
I suppose there are a basic question. One of the things that really amazes me, Daniel told me the other day, off air, I said, "How'd you lose all this weight?" And he said, "I stopped eating," and he used a word to describe junk food.
Yes.
And I said, "But geez, you must have been eating a lot of junk food. How did he lose all that weight? Did he ban your fruitcake?"
No, he hasn't banned it. But I'm glad you mentioned that, actually. I bought you some in because I knew you'd be disappointed if I didn't.
Did you really make it?
I really made it. I make about half a dozen fruitcakes around this time every year, and I think because I've shared some with the media, I might even have to make a few more.
Can we give some to Jeff Kennett, or would that be breaking the rules?
I'm very happy to share my fruitcake with anybody and everybody. But what I would say to you is that it's difficult when you are working very long and intense hours to find time to exercise and to make sure that you eat, 3 balanced and nutritious meals a day. And over the course of his political life, he probably wasn't looking after himself as best he can, and he has stopped. He's cut out a lot of the junk in his life, and that's good. I'm pleased. I'm a bit of a fitness nut myself, so I'm very pleased.
Now, I know you're also you're a freelance writer and editor. You've got a Master of Public History. Why don't you write a piece on the election? What it was like, on the election campaign? Hunter Thompson wrote a great book, Boys on the Bus, about an American election campaign. Give us one from the bus, on life on Daniel's bus.
That's great, actually. There's been a lot of embedded journalists on the bus, and that's really interesting because, because usually you think of an embedded journalist in wartime. They had journalists on the front line reporting back about what life was like, in battle. And so that's same things. These journalists are in on the bus, and it's been very interesting to learn how the media interviews Daniel, interviews me, and how they write their story from there.
Thank you for coming in. Thanks for the fruitcake. You will win, you reckon?
I certainly hope so. I think it's time that Victoria's are given a fresh and optimistic change, and Daniel hasn't let me down in 20 years. He won't let Victorians down either.
Catherine Andrews, thank you.